Hello everyone, I'm Cole from the Kingdom, and today I'm sharing some spooky paranormal stories from people in our Discord server. Link in the description. If you have any of your own, then by all means leave a comment, and maybe I'll share it in the future. Okay, this one's from Lacey Lane. I have a couple of paranormal stories, nothing super creepy. If anything, they were sometimes helpful. But they are things I can't explain either. When I was a young adult, I was having a lazy Sunday, just spending the day in my room, drawing while in bed. My pillow was placed in the middle of my bed, and I did not move it all day. I barely left my room that day, only for necessary things, and never long enough for someone to go into my room without me knowing. When I was getting ready to go to bed for the night, I moved my pillow back where it was supposed to be, and underneath the pillow was a gold Canadian dollar coin. To this day, I have no idea where that coin came from or how it got there. I've never been to Canada, and until that point, I had never seen a gold Canadian dollar coin. Several years ago, I was dog-sitting my parents' dogs and was sleeping in my parents' bed. The dogs aren't allowed to be on the bed because it's too high for the elderly one. I was on the edge of sleep when I felt an animal jump onto the foot of the bed and started walking its way up towards me. In my sleepy haze, I yelled at it to get off the bed, then rolled over to go to sleep. I've grown up with dogs and love dogs. My last thought before I went to sleep was it didn't move like a dog. Since then, occasionally my mom has complained about being woken up by something sitting on the bed or jumping on the bed and nothing is there. A few years ago, I had lost my job and was searching for a new one. I was stress venting to a friend over the phone about finding a new job, worrying about when I was going to have a job again. My friend must have thought I was going mad when I started repeating 7 weeks randomly. While venting to my friend, I heard the words 7 weeks spoken to me. I was very confused by this. But 7 weeks later, I was starting a brand new job. This one is from Mike. To this day, I can't quite make up my mind whether I have indeed experienced paranormal activity this one time in my life, or not at all. I always felt like we, humans, are still not half as smart as we think we are, and that there are things, including the existence of ghosts, that perhaps we're just too stupid to even understand. Anyway, it all happened very long ago, but it is one of the memories that just doesn't seem to go away, and it's not a good one. Here it is. The whole thing happened when I was really young. We're talking preschool age. My grandma decided to let my mom and dad get some rest from the kind of chaos that two rather energetic twins can cause. She took me and my brother on a weekend getaway to her summer cabin in the middle of the woods. We're talking pretty dense woods in the middle of Poland. Not that dangerous, mind you, but definitely easy to get lost, especially if you don't even know the word navigation yet. There were several clusters of mostly wooden, old houses scattered around these woods, half of them abandoned and seemingly forgotten by the whole world. I was a quite curious child, so when we went on a stroll not long after we arrived, I got distracted by literally everything. The animal sounds in the distance, the woods rustling, everything. I remember I caught a glimpse of some old broken cars in the distance, standing by one of the abandoned houses. When we got back and everyone went to sleep, I just couldn't contain my curiosity and left the house. My innocent 5-year-old mind didn't see anything wrong with venturing into the dark woods in the middle of the night all by myself. It was as if something was calling to me. When I somehow found my way to the old decrepit cars, as luck would have it, it started to rain, and the storm was coming. I remember very vividly seeing 1 or 2 lightning bolts that heralded a storm. I hid under one of the bigger trucks as it started to rain pretty heavily almost immediately. Then, out of nowhere, I saw one of the strangest things. Beside one of the old, abandoned, and quite frankly rather unnerving houses, there was a rocking chair. It moved on its own, or so I thought. I saw what seemed like a really, really old, wrinkly woman sitting in that rocking chair, smiling and looking in my direction. It was not a pleasant smile, not at all. Try to recall the last horror movie you watched in which some sort of monster had that terrifying smile that made your skin crawl. That was it. I was scared shitless, but my legs moved on their own. I got closer and closer and kept moving in that thing's direction in the pouring rain. I was only a few steps away when I heard voices in the distance, My grandma was calling my name and crying, almost impossible to hear because of the storm. She realized I was gone. That seemed to have broken the spell. As soon as I turned around and then back to the rocking chair, the old lady wasn't there anymore. I ran in the direction of the voices, and there was a good ending. The thing is, I can't help but feel it like it was a close call. To this day, I keep wondering if something in there really wanted me to get lost in the woods. Sure, there was a storm and it could have moved the chair, but I remember vividly not being afraid of the chair itself, but rather whatever sat in it. A ghost? I genuinely don't know. This one's from Pink. One time, when my sister and I were still young, probably about 7 to 8 and 10 to 11, we were sitting in the living room watching TV. To the left was an opening into the foyer, and the light was on in there. The hall light was out. At the same time, my sister and I both glance over to the left side, into the foyer. For a few moments, we were both quiet, contemplating. Eventually, my sister asked, "Did you see that?" I asked in response, "The small dark shadow that looked like a person hunched over?" "Running into Jessica's room," she finished. "Yup." We probably shouldn't tell her about that. Yeah. And this last one's from Gan Anim. I've never had any ghostly experiences, but I know some people who have. One evening, my sister was walking through the halls of our old high school. She had to stay late there for some activity. In one of the trophy cabinets, she saw the reflection of a girl in a pink sweater behind her, but when she turned around, there was no one there. My spouse says he doesn't believe in spirits or ghosts, despite having had a lot of ghostly experiences. Once, my brother-in-law went to visit my sister-in-law at her house. He spent the night and said he heard someone playing drums, like a drum set, in the basement at 3 a.m. He asked her about it in the morning. She said everyone was sleeping and they didn't hear anything. A while later, we visited her to help her move. We stayed the night at her house. I wasn't taking any chances though, so I brought earplugs and an eye mask. My spouse woke me up at 3:15. He said he heard someone playing drums in the basement and a door creak. I didn't hear or see anything, thankfully. Perhaps it was just the furnace. So that's gonna do it for this round. This is just an experimental video for me, but I really want to do more spooky stuff like this. I've always been fascinated by the paranormal and supernaturals, so I'm excited to hear what the rest of you got. Let me know what you thought of today's stories, and don't forget to leave a like to feed the old algorithm. So that's it for now, guys. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to comment and like. I'll see you later.